A good question there from Gary. How come there's no blue plaque? Well, to get a blue plaque, you've got to be dead for at least 20 years. You have to be deceased for at least 20 years. And so I don't think Mr. Starkey wants one of those just yet. And of course, it will be up to the tenant anyway, whether or not, you know, when the time comes, whether or not they'd want a plaque put in on the house. So, anyway, that's where they were living. And yeah, here's the Mop Top Mobile. So if you come on a tour with us, this is the vehicle we go around in, with our jazzy new look Mop Top Mobile. And anyway, where was I? Yeah, so they moved around to this house in Admiral Grove. I'm going to take you around there now and show you. Now, Elsie, Ringo's mother, she remarried. She married a chap called Harry Graves. And it was Harry who actually got Ringo his first drum kit. And he really encouraged Ringo to play the drums. I bet the neighbours were delighted with that news. What do you think? There you go, there's a nice picture of Admiral Grove. And yeah, so he really quite took to the drums anyway, and he played in various skiffle groups. One of the skiffle groups he played in was the Eddie Clayton skiffle group. And Eddie Clayton's real name was Eddie Miles, and Eddie lived along here as well. He was one of the neighbours. And so that was one of his early groups, but you know, various groups in those early days, before eventually joining a group called Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. And if you're not familiar with them, this is why I wanted to bring you here to talk to you a little bit about Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. Because on Wednesday, when we take you on the virtual tour on Wednesday, we're going to be talking a lot about Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. I'm going to see if we can get Anne to have a chat with you about him. Actually, if you've got any questions as well about Rory Storm, send those through to us. Put them on this post here, and I'll put those to Ant and give him a chance to have a look at some questions if you've got any questions about Rory Storm. But anyway, he was Rory Storm. If you haven't come across him before, we have made a mini documentary about Rory Storm as well, which you can find. In fact, I might even post that a bit later on today when I get back. I'll put a link onto the Rory Storm film, so you can have a look at the mini documentary, learn a bit more about him, and then we'll be talking more about him on Wednesday, on St. Patrick's Day, on the anniversary of when the Beatles played alongside Rory Storm and the Hurricanes at the Notty Ash Village Hall. But Rory Storm, he was a really flamboyant frontman, and he used to get up to all kinds of antics. And Ringo, of course, was the drummer. He was very flamboyant as well. He got into the routine of wearing fancy rings on his fingers, and it was actually apparently Rory who gave him the nickname Ringo, because of the rings on his fingers. So but we'll tell you lots more about him a bit later on. I'm just going to turn you now so you can have another look at the house here, if anybody wants to get a photograph. That's what the house is looking like now. It's privately owned, this now. It has been empty for a few years now. A little lady called Margaret used to live here. Some of you may have met Margaret on your visits. Margaret Groves, who sadly passed away a few years ago now. But she was a lovely little lady. She did a lot of fundraising in this house as well. She raised about £7,000 for the Linda McCartney Cancer Charity, and which people would just put a few pounds in a collection box to go and have a look inside the house. Whether that'll continue or not, I don't know. I wouldn't be I wouldn't blame the new tenants for not wanting people traipsing through their house. But she was a very special kind of lady, was Margaret, and to let the bulk of people in. She was really sweet, and we miss her. We don't half miss her. We've lost a few people in the last few years, and it is sad, but people get old, don't they, and pop off. Anyway, I hope you're all doing okay. I've just got one more thing I want to show you whilst we're down here as well.